Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight Byron Boldt's back, and we are going to talk Frank Zappa and Chunga's Revenge. This is part of the Frank Zappa series, so let's get going.
Talking bands no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and I want to welcome BM Boldt to the show. Tonight we are doing yet another episode in our Frank Zappa series. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in 1970 now. We started out back in, holy crap, with Freak Out, and now we're just moving right along. So someday we'll finish this. I'm not holding my breath, but you never know. Tonight's victim is Chunga's Revenge from 1970. This is kind of a big deal of a... Oh, my goodness. That's the 2012, right?
No.
Which one is that? Oh, the Ryko. But look, show me the back of it. I don't remember it looking like that. That's a later Ryko, though.
Yeah, I don't.
But 25th anniversary.
This is a 1990.
Yeah. But it's a different. Yeah. See, I don't have that. We've already been down that road. So this is Frank's third solo album. This is the first album that features Flo and Eddie on it. I'm not going to say anything yet. This is after Hot Rats. This has a lot of different type of styles on it. Not that Frank didn't always have that, but we've got blues, we've got R&B, we've got jazz fusion. It's all over the place. We've got 4 or 5 instrumentals on this record. Ainsley Dunbar's the drummer for the most part. I think he's on all the tracks except one. And to me, when I listen to this record, all right, there's several stars on this album. Stars. Ainsley Dunbar's drumming. Absolutely incredible. Frank Zappa, everybody wants Frank to play lead guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a guitar record. Frank is playing guitar all over it. And I think Mark Volman, Howard Kalin, I think Flo and Eddie sound great on this record. We've only got Sugarcane Harris. He's only on one track on here. I was hoping for more Sugarcane, but whatever. It's all right. Got George Duke on this record. Max Bennett's playing bass on a couple of tracks here. Jeff Simmons, for the most part, is playing most of it. What can I say? I think I was looking at the reviews, Byron, and a lot of these get kind of mixed reviews, but I really dig this record. I don't know. There's something about it. There's something magical about it. I'm going to throw it over to you to get your take on it. We're just going to keep it loose, ladies and gentlemen, like we always do. We'll go back and forth, kind of look at the tracks. Let's just start out. You want to just give any overall feeling about opinions or anything?
Yeah, well, we always seem to bring up whether, so like you said, this is the 90 CD on Ryko, and we always seem to talk about that kind of stuff, where 2012 is better. And which is
most
basically
part on all these. The general consensus is those are the ones to own. But let's say this, because before we started recording, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about buying CDs, and Byron bought a whole bunch of stuff at a record store that was 90%
off them.
Yeah, well, we always talk about that kind of stuff. But if I'm going to a record store and there's a Ryko of a Zappa CD that I don't have. But think about it. He's got such a big catalog, right? I'm going to buy the Ryko if it's there, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to be that.
Right.
I pick what I can get. If I can get the 2012 reissue, I'll get it. But if the Ryko's there, I'm fine with that. But yeah, now I don't know what the whole goal of that was, but just saying, the 2012s are nice.
2012 is the LP, the original vinyl dry mix, and this is got a little extra reverb like all the other Rykos seem to have. Right. Other than that, they're the same. There's no different tracks or mixes really on this. So either one's good, really. So then you had mentioned this is the first Flo and Eddie album. I think Frank was kind of trying to get a little more pop credibility in the band after the original Mothers lineup had broke up. They went by Flo and Eddie because, as my understanding, they were having some contractual obligations with the Turtles and some lawsuits going on, so they went by it.
Well, they weren't allowed due to their contract to even. They were under contract. Mark Volman, Howard Kalin, those names could not. So they just had to make up a couple of names and go with those. But it's fine. People recognize them either way,
Yeah,
but
and
I think they're a welcome addition to this record. Their
yeah,
vocals are great.
it it's just a change of pace.
Mhm.
Not saying it was better or worse than the previous band, but it was
Yeah.
definitely different. Um, so this album, like you had mentioned, it's mostly Ian Underwood and Ainsley Dunbar, Jeff Simmons, and George Duke. And we'll, as we discuss the tracks, we'll maybe
Uh,
break it up. Who,
but we do have a holdover from the previous. Ian
yeah,
Underwood is the
right.
only holdover that's even Mothers related. So yeah, it's
Um,
basically a new band to some degree, right? Because yeah,
the lyrics on this basically are, in a lot of ways, a preview to the story of 200 Motels. So there's a lot of similarities lyrics wise between that and the movie. Um, Frank kind of switched from viewing the political satire of the early Mothers to more of pop and kind of juvenile humor though with Flo and Eddie, like you were saying. So that's part of the whole change of pace, different flavors is a lot of the lyrical content. But that's all I really had to say about it, other than talking about the individual tracks. So if you want to,
well,
sorry to get us
a lot
off.
of that later stuff. See, this is where I always like the Mother stuff because there really wasn't anything. We've got that political content to some degree. Frank's always talking about the hippies and all that, and we kind of lose all that. A lot of that later period, and I'm not being critical, but it is kind of juvenile to some degree. Now, the stuff with the Mothers, I never found anything really juvenile. Maybe some of the songs had humor, but we're looking at the Fillmore East album, and there's a lot of juvenile stuff. A
Yeah,
lot of some Frank Zappa fans don't like the Fillmore East album very much, but I haven't got there yet, so we're not going to talk about it. But it all kind of starts on this record.
yeah. I felt like he dabbled a little bit in the juvenile stuff in the original Mothers, but he dove in headfirst with Flo and Eddie. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I think they just bounced off each other, you know.
we'll talk about all that as we get into the
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Anyway,
But anyway, the record, I'm just going to go on, like I said in my intro. If you like Frank Zappa playing guitar, holy crap, this is a great guitar record. And I think for the most part, it's, I don't want to go on a record saying this is some of his best work, but if you do like guitar based, more jazz fusion and stuff, this is a good record. You want to hear Frank play, pick this up. As far as a couple of tracks, I think Chunga's Revenge, that instrumental, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
that's
Best
some
track
ways
on the
that's sort
album.
of that's a classic track of his. Really,
Oh
that
my
that bass
God.
line, that just keeps going on and on in it. Really
Mhm.
drives along. Um, yeah, it's just it's got that long distorted saxophone solo in it for a couple minutes, and then it ends up with a real nice guitar solo at the end. But yeah, it's a really good song. So
I think
there's a,
side two on this, though, I don't know. I'm going to throw it out there. I have no I like this album quite a bit. I'm not saying, I think side two might be a little bit stronger than side one. And for some
yeah,
reason, on some of these Frank Zappa albums, like we've seen before, there's usually a stronger side, and it's usually side two. It's weird. I don't know why, but I think that side two on this record's brilliant. I think it's
yeah.
brilliant.
Side one's got a well, it's definitely got a clunker for me, but
Well, go ahead. What's the clunker? Because
well,
we're keeping it loose. By
yeah.
what is?
I really don't care for the last song on the first side, the Nancy and Mary music. It's like
With
nine and a
the
half minute
Mhm.
instrumental, and it's it's an edited version of some really long tracks on the Road Tapes Volume or Venue 3 album. I don't know if you've heard that one or not.
I haven't
I
heard
mean,
it.
it's basically live avant-garde improvisations of this band with Flo and Eddie doing King Kong and parts of the Clap and Chunga's Revenge.
So
Um,
it's actually part. This is just a snippet from that.
yeah, and
How
that's when you're
long? How long is the whole piece, though? This is 9 minutes and 27 seconds.
yeah,
How long is?
it's like I said, it's parts of King Kong and the Clap slash Chunga's Revenge. So hell, I don't know how long those tracks were. I could look it up somewhere and
No,
tell
I
you.
just
But
thought maybe you
yeah,
knew off the cuff.
that's the thing about this album is that a lot of the stuff on here has since been released on Funky Nothingness, and it said the Road Tapes Venue 3, and some of it's on that Hot Rats box that came out. So there's these long 20-minute jams on some of those where Frank would take out 5 or 6 minutes maybe and put it on, and he put it on here to begin with. But since but recently they've been releasing these, full-blown versions on these box sets they've been putting out. So these are basically, edited down, which is fine by me.
How do you feel about that when do you embrace that? I mean, does it change like the original album? Does it take away something from like Chunga when you've got a lot of these tracks that come out in their full versions?
I'm not. First of all, I don't buy much anymore. But
Well,
I'm not really into these 3-4 disc sets that they're putting out of all everything that they have basically from the sessions. I don't need all that. I want something a little more concise. We're editing out all the stuff that you don't need.
Well, this is the way Frank wanted it out.
Yeah,
I think that stands up for something.
I try to listen to those things on like Spotify once just to say, yeah, I've heard it. But it's a chore to get through a lot of that stuff. It's like 4 or 5 hours sometimes.
It's not the edited work.
Yeah, it's not too much.
Refined. It's not. Yeah, I get it. It's interesting. I think it's great as far as like an archaeological documentation. Thank God that stuff still exists. It's like I've got the Freak Out. Was it 4 CD set? But that's Freak Out though. I kind of look at that in a different light.
I'd rather hear that than just 5 hours of long jams.
Yeah. I don't know if that's still available. It used to be available on the Zappa site. I don't know if it's still up there or not.
I think the 2 disc is still available, but I don't know about the 4.
The 4 I got like a year ago, 2 years ago. Now that I have it, I'm not paying attention if it's available or not. But anyway, we're on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen, like we always are. But Transylvania Boogie opens up the whole album, 5 minutes. How do you like that for an opener?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That was that was recorded early 70 with what he called his Hot Rats band. I think they did a little short tour after the Hot Rats album, and that's Ian Underwood, Sugarcane Harris, Max Bennett, and Ainsley Dunbar. That comes from an 18-minute version of Funking. There's an 18-minute version of it on Funky Nothingness, so they chopped out 13 minutes of it to get this into 5 minutes. And I haven't listened to Funky Nothingness yet. I think one of these days I'll get around to that. This track's kind of cool. It uses some gypsy scales to give it a weird feel. It starts out kind of as a composed track, and then it just breaks into a kind of a guitar jam for the last 4 minutes or so. It's pretty good.
Well, I think it's, like I said, I think some of this is, I don't know. I think that as far as guitar yet, yeah, I brought it up that I think this is really a great guitar album, but I think this is a good opener. And I have to admit, 1970 Frank on guitar, I think this might be some of his best playing. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we talked about how like on the first few Mothers albums, his guitar playing really didn't stand out as anything unique. But you're hearing it now, especially starting with Hot Rats.
Good point.
He's really developed this sound, and it's like, yeah, that's Frank. You didn't hear that.
The rhythm section, what you've got Max Bennett and you've got Ainsley Dunbar. I think on here they are killing it. In fact, they might be carrying the whole thing. I mean, no, as a rhythm section, Ainsley Dunbar is a machine.
Oh, yeah.
And I get kind of a chuckle the fact that he would leave here and then would go to Journey, for God's sakes. But whatever, it's okay. He's a great drummer. Max Bennett, great bass player. Holy crap. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
No, sounds great to me.
All right.
Yeah. Let's talk about Road Ladies. I want to talk about that. That's the next song.
All right, go ahead. What's your thoughts on Road Ladies?
It's just a great blues song. It starts out with Frank and just some organ, he's just kind of singing and the organ's behind him, accompanying him. And then it just breaks into this great blues song with, I think, a couple really good guitar solos. And you've got Howard also doing some shared lead vocals with Frank on this. And, that's the first time we're really hearing Flo or Eddie on this. It's just a great song.
What's funny about this, though, is that it's so traditional, though. Those organ riffs by George Duke.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, well, we had that first, and we're keeping it kind of serious. Let's play a blues song. It's
Yeah,
just,
you don't really expect to hear that.
you know, you don't.
He- has he done much blues up until now in his career?
No.
I don't know that there was much. Maybe one or two songs. Yeah, that one
But
came
when
out
they
of
kick
nowhere.
in, the
Yeah.
one part where the guitar comes in and Ainsley's Dunbar, I don't know. I guess that's when the song really takes off, whatever you want to call that. I don't know what you call that in a musical sense, but Ainsley hits the drums, man, and we go. And a lot of wah wah. I guess that's Frank on wah wah guitar, right?
It would have to be. I don't
But
think there's any other guitars on here now.
I think it's
Yeah.
great. I think it's refreshing just to hear Frank do the blues.
Yeah.
Great track.
Yeah.
Vocals are good. Can't. I think it's perfection. Anything else you want to add about Road Night?
No, that's a
All right,
standout track, man.
but I like it. So after
Yeah.
that, we have 20 Small Cigars, another instrumental. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just a short jazz instrumental. Real lovely, I think. It's also from the Hot Rat sessions from what 69 that was.
Yeah,
So it sounds like a traditional jazz type of song, and that's got
it's
upright
beautiful though.
bass and
It's
drums
beautiful.
again. You got Max Bennett again on the bass, and John Guerin on drums on this though, which I think that might be the only track he plays on here.
But it's very traditional. I mean, there's no shtick yet. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's weird that he goes from this rock and guitar jam on the first track to this total blues tune to now a real slow, beautiful jazz track. It's just
Mhm.
bouncing all over the place.
But you know, more I talk about it, I think maybe side one balances out side two. I don't know. It's like we have one side that's very serious, and then the next, well, it doesn't get serious by the time we hit Nancy and Mary, but it kind of.
Yes, I don't really care for the Nancy and Mary music, and that's almost half of the first side, really. So
But I will say, I think 20 Small Cigars and Chunga's Revenge, two of the best instrumentals on this record. I love
yeah,
this. I love it. All right, cool. So but then we go to Nancy and Mary. You're not into it, and what's
not
your reasoning
really.
behind that again?
It's just there's a lot of drum solo in it for a while, and I'm not a big drum solo guy. There's some solos by the guitars and the keyboards. They're all right. And then there's a whole vocal screaming improv section, which Frank would do here and there. And this is, with Flo and Eddie, and they're doing these high pitched wails and screams. It's just all right. That's the low point of the record for me, though.
You get like a minute and a half, minute into the album, and then Frank starts doing the solo. That it's kind of continues on where 20 Small Cigars goes. To me, not really, but like I said, there's a lot of great guitar solos on here. And it's loose. It's like jazz fusion almost.
Not saying I don't like it per se. Just it's the worst thing on the record, in my opinion.
Well, I think maybe if we eliminated
Not
that
great.
drum part and just go right into,
Yeah, I
uh,
don't need drum solos. I hate drum solos.
all right, that's fair enough. But I think there's a lot that this track has to offer more than just that drum solo. If you can get past it, that's all
Just
I'm
skip
saying.
it.
Skip
Skip
it.
it next
Yeah.
time.
But, how long was this track? This track I'm looking,
Nine and a
well,
half
it's
minutes.
9.5 minutes.
So
Yeah, there's
a little too much.
some great stuff, and then there's some tedious stuff. I agree. Probably the low point on this side. All right. Side two, Tell Me You Love Me. What do you think of that?
Oh, it's a rocker. It's got a great riff to it.
It's almost like heavy metal.
Yeah, and
It's almost like Grand Funk.
yeah, this song has appeared on Tinseltown Rebellion as well, and then he changed the lyrics to "Why Don't You Like Me" when he did it on the Broadway the Hard Way. So we've heard this a few times. He really must have dug this track. It's just a Flo and Eddie vocal tune too, and it's like I say, it's heavy, but it's very accessible.
You kind of I kind of made a joke about Grand Funk.
But
I
it's
almost
kind of
could
like
hear
that.
Mark Farner sing this. It's not that far
While he was
off.
shirtless.
Why his nipples are out and he's
Yes,
shirtless.
yes, exactly.
I like
It,
it. I think it's a
it's a
good
good track,
track
man.
opener.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It really rocks. Gets the second side really
I
going.
think this is another good point. The sequencing on this record's very good because you're starting off really strong with side two. Well, but the Nancy music the Nancy and Mary, say it real fast. The Nancy and Mary music that closes side 4 is not very good closer, but maybe I'm going to have to renegotiate this. Uh, I think Tell Me You Love Me is a good track opener for side 2. It does sound like Grand Funk Railroad, though. All right, so that's a good. Would You Go All the Way?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
We've got another Flo and Eddie vocal track. It starts out real 60s pop sounding with 2 or 3 different themes.
It,
But the very beginning of it reminds me of Spinal Tap. What song is that song?
Big Bottom?
No. Is it? Oh crap! I can't remember.
Oh, give me some money. Give me
me
some
some money.
money.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like
This sounds like.
That. Right, give me some money.
This sounds like something that should have been on Freak Out. It fit perfectly on Freak Out.
Yeah, it's definitely
1966,
Yeah, the first half of it is this real poppy. But like I said, it's 2 or 3 different themes that he does there, but then the second half completely changes to that "Would You Go All the Way" theme that he just keeps repeating. And there's a lot of horns on this too. It's a good song.
Yeah.
So we're 2 for 2 on side 2.
I think we're looking great. And then we hit the Chunga's Revenge, which again I think's the standout track. Great guitar work, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. He kind of breaks that. He switches to an instrumental after those first 2 vocal tracks. It's kind of nice change up, and it's solid. Yeah, I like
Nicey and Underwood horn part.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a serious track. I think it's great. I think it's I love just the way Frank sounds and the way he executes the solos. I keep repeating myself, but it's true. I think it's great. I wish I could bitch about it, but I can't.
Yeah, this is another one where there's a really long unedited version of this on Funky Nothingness.
Yeah, how long is this now? This is 6 minutes.
Yeah, so that one's probably like 18 or something.
I'd like to hear that though.
It's a solid instrumental. I think he's covered this he's redid this on a couple other albums, I think, too. Live or maybe some live albums. Yeah, I like it.
But that is Frank on wah guitar though, right?
There's a lot of distorted saxophone on that.
Because there's wah sax on here by Ian Underwood.
Yeah, I've got on my notes. It's a distorted alto sax solo, which is a lot of it, and it does sound a little bit like wah guitar, but there is a guitar solo after that. So, but yeah, they sound a little.
I can hardly if that's a sax, if that's Ian Underwood playing sax, I can barely tell it from a guitar.
Yeah, that's first, and then it ends with the guitar solo. So
okay,
go back and you'll hear where it switches.
But I like it though; it's a cool effect.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I was first listening to it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds like some wah guitar or something." Then no, I thought I listened a little closer, and I read, and it was like, "Yeah, that is a distorted sax solo."
That's it's amazing, top notch, 5 out of 5 for me on that. The clap. What's your thoughts on the clap?
It's all right. It's luckily it's very short, so a minute and a half. It's only Frank playing like 3 different drum lines overdrubbed. I think the one's a traditional drum kit, I think, and then there might be some like wood blocks. It's just all percussion. It's okay.
I would venture to say that that's just filler. I mean, I don't think it's anything serious. I mean, it's a snippet. It's a minute 24. Okay, that's fine. But
Frank was a drummer originally before he picked up the guitar. So, he was a pretty decent drummer, and he'd do a little bit of drumming here and there. Mm-hmm. But this was recorded, I believe, same period as the Hot Rats album or shortly after that. But doesn't really matter. It's just him. So
yeah, that's fine. It's kind of like when he played the bicycle on the Steve. What was that? Was that the Tonight Show? Was that when he played the bicycle?
Steve Allen Show.
Steve Allen Show, 1963.
Yeah.
Funny. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is the low point of side 2 for me. And it's only a minute and a half, so.
But Rudy wants to buy you a drink.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You like that?
I do like that. It's kind of got a vaudeville feel to it, with the horns and the singing, and it's got you got Flo and Eddie doing a lot of the vocals on that. And, it's kind of a poppy song with a lot of different themes to it, though, and it's really about a musicians union guy trying to basically get money out of the musicians. They don't want to pay him, but he's going to make them pay. So it kind of, I think it's getting a
I think
shot at
it's
the
fun.
musicians union.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Uh-huh. The instrumentation, the recording on it's real good, I think. Um, it's fun.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think it's great. So
But at least it's not, some of that later stuff where it's really juvenile. This isn't juvenile. This is
there's
just
not much
more.
juvenile to this. When you
No.
go all the way, it's a little bit, I think, but not too bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of double entendre, I think.
Yeah. I think it's fine. Charlena,
Yeah,
what
good.
do you think?
Um, I love this song. It's kind of an R&B ballad, in my opinion. It's he's recorded this a few times. Originally, it was on the original version, which features Sugarcane Harris, was on the Lost Episodes album. I'm not sure what year that was recorded. Probably 60. That's probably what recorded when they did the last album, since they had Sugarcane. So it's probably 69. But
Okay.
that didn't. So he re-recorded it though with Flo and Eddie for this album, and actually he did it again for the Them or Us album. So it's a great track. Like I said, it's kind of R&B ballad, and that's one of the best songs on here, I think.
Yeah, I was going to
So
say the same thing. A strong closer.
yeah,
Let me ask you, a lot of these, we've talked briefly about this, a lot of these Frank Zappa reimagined CD, did they ever do anything with Chunga, like an ex an expanded version or anything? Or has
I
there
haven't seen
anything
anything.
been done with that?
I've not seen anything on that. It's funny that you mentioned that because I think the next album is Fillmore, and I was kind of
Yeah.
looking at that, and there's an expanded version of that available, which I don't think I've ever seen.
Hmm, I don't
Look it
know.
up on, or it's on Wikipedia.
We
So
only had if we only had a way to look it up.
yeah, it's on the Wikipedia site, and I was like, wow. But anyway, we're talking about the next album,
Yeah, yeah, but
but
oh, oh, well, there's both. Okay. Yeah, there's an expanded thing. 2022. There was an anniversary expanded edition that came out March of 2022. And side three's got John Lennon and Yoko
yeah,
Ono on there.
I think there's a few other things though too. I mean, the John and Yoko is pretty hard to listen to, but
Well, you got probably, I have never listened to Sometime in New York City. Um, yeah, I'm sure it's hard to listen to because Yoko's probably doing what Yoko does.
oh yeah,
But yeah,
I've heard I've heard it. Frank put it on something else too. It might have been on Playground Psychotics, I think. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the film.
yeah, yeah. But it looks like, I don't know, just from the way it looks like that Fillmore expanded edition might be kind of cool. I don't know. I
You might
wasn't
have to
aware that
buy
it
that.
came out. Byron, there's so much. How do you, like, it's hard to keep track, you know? So between one of us, we may know it. Yeah, there's the original. Anyway, that's for next month. We'll be looking at
Yeah,
Fillmore. So anyway, the final track on Chunga, you dig it? Think it's
yeah.
one of the best tracks on the record.
Oh yeah, that's
All
great.
right.
Love it. Yeah, great vocals on there. Yeah,
Guitars sound great.
yeah,
I keep bringing up the guitar just because it's such a guitar record.
yeah. I mean, it starts out to that heavy guitar riff. Da da da
Hmm.
da da da. Yeah, it's great.
I like it. Well, if we're going to rate this record in the catalog, and I guess
We
consider
always
what
do.
we've rated things before too, it's still nowhere near for me. We're only in it for the money.
What is?
Absolutely. I don't know. We're doing, this is an exercise. I'm going to hit something that I would think's just to that level.
You loved Absolutely Free as well. You
I
gave
love it.
that a 10.
I give it a 10.
You did.
I love it. Love those two albums hand in hand. What's your thoughts on this? I'm going to say before we rate it, um, I'm looking at just reviews in general. I'm just throwing it out. Don't let it be an influential thing, but All Music only gave this a 3-star review.
But I
Rolling
think
Stone, when it came out, they said they gave it an unfavorable rating. Let me see where that was from.
what did Robert Christgau say?
Robert Christgau gave it a C plus.
I don't let those critics influence my decisions. Hey, there was one other thing I wanted to.
Lester Bangs, who did the review for Rolling Stone. He said Zappa can go on putting out dull records like these indefinitely and always find somebody who'll buy them out of respect for his name, if nothing else. And it is a name worthy of much respect. The original Mothers of Invention were a significant force in the music of our time, but these diddlings are not only insignificant, not only do they suggest that one genius is not at present working towards anything in particular, but they also smack of a rather cynical, condescending attitude towards a public that may be getting ready to pass Zappa by. Thoughts?
Well, he still had a hell of a long, successful career after this. So,
but I guess when Lester's,
by.
But I kind of understand what he's saying because he's looking at that Mother's period.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I get it because it was just so. I mean, Whirling It for the Money is a perfect record. Perfect. You only can do that once, ladies and gentlemen, though maybe people would argue. Actually, I want to hear that in the comments. What do you, people, I'm saying Rolling in the Money, but I haven't went through the whole catalog yet. To me, that is the greatest of the great. And of course, he's going to change. He's going to grow as an artist. Maybe he's not Whirling In It for the Money. It was quite a work. I mean, that was not something you just cranked out. This seems like it's much more, I hate to say it, kind of like Weasels, where it's just a bunch of tracks thrown together. This kind of is like that too, but I think it works better than Weasel. You know, Absolutely Free, We're Only In It for the Money, Freak Out. Those weren't albums, those were pieces. This doesn't seem like it's a piece where later on he would start picking it up again. Maybe he's just getting I don't know. I could be talking out my ass. This is his third solo album, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe he's getting his ducks in a row.
Yeah, he is kind of
this record though. So
he is kind of getting his ducks in a row because, like Burnt Weenie and Weasels, this is really bits and pieces from different times and groups. It's all thrown together. This is him saying, "Okay, I got these new guys, and we're gonna do 4 or 5 tracks with them. I've got a couple tracks from Hot Rats left over. I got another track from left over from something else. Let's just kind of all throw it together for now." And then, well, the next album's a live album. I just don't feel like he didn't put a lot of time into this. He's like, "Look, I got half an album's worth of stuff. I got another half an album's worth of old stuff. Let's just throw it all together like the last couple albums."
Yeah, and it's kind of it's like throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. I think this sticks a lot better than some of the other ones.
I'm not like a typical critic where they're all like, "Oh, what's he saying? Is it, is this revolutionary? Is he breaking new ground? Do I like it or do I not like it?" That's how I view things, and I like it.
Yeah, well, I don't think that there's any bad Zappa though. It's just different degrees. It's like Todd Rundgren, like we said on Sea of Tranquility. I said there's no bad Rundgren. There's just different Rundgren, and it all depends upon what you like. And I think Frank is very similar to Todd, both very prolific, and it just depends. So far the Mother stuff I think is just absolutely perfect, but that's just me. You have a lot of people think that Chic or Bootie's the greatest thing, or Joe's Garage. It just depends. It probably also depends upon when you come into Frank Zappa, what you're introduced to. Me, I was always like in 60s music, so I was always fascinated by the whole Mothers period because a lot of those, whenever you look at a review for the Mothers of Invention, all those albums get great reviews still, and they did then. They didn't sell because they're way out there. I mean, could you imagine in 1966 and Freak Out comes out? It's like aliens dropping in off from another planet. Or Absolutely Free, 1967. Think about it. It's out there. But man, it's just brilliant stuff. So, and I think this is good. I like it. For something thrown together, it works. So Byron, what would you rank this out of 10?
I'm giving it an 8.5.
Yeah.
Like I said, Nancy and Mary music, the clap, I'm gonna give it
Subtract a couple of points because there's a couple of bump tracks that are, yeah, I get it.
I mean, I could maybe go an 8 if I'm in a bad mood, but I'm going with an 8.5 tonight.
Well, I would say this is not even close to Whirling It for the Money. Not close. That's a 10, 11 to me. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I think this is a good, solid effort. Well, it's kind of an effort. It's just not one of those masterworks, but it's very enjoyable. And like I said, if you're trying to wet your whistle for Frank Zappa playing guitar, this will fill that niche really well. I would give this an 8. Solid 8.
There you go.
And I'm surprised because, I don't know. I think it's one of those records that you might not get on the initial listen, but as you listen to it, the more it takes hold. When I would listen to Whirling It for the Money, I could see the brilliance right away. Same with Absolutely Free, Freak Out, all that stuff. Uncle Meat's a little bit not quite as accessible, but it also brings you in. And I think it's also, well, it's the Mothers. I'll just leave it at that. So any of those records, I think you could pick up and just go run with it. But out of the post Mothers, of course, I think, well, we've already talked about Hot Rats and how great that is. What did we rate Hot Rats? Like a 9? Geez, I can't remember.
I was a 9 and you were 8.5.
I was 8.5.
Yep.
I would say I would still go with that, and I would put this as an 8. This is close behind Hot Rats to me.
Yeah.
Just a tad. There's enough here to maintain someone's interest. I'm just going to leave it at that. So if you give it an 8.5 and I give it I'm just going to go with this an 8. We're giving this an 8, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know, but I don't have much more to add. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention?
I had one other note that I didn't get to.
Yeah, go ahead. You can talk about it.
There was another track called Bognor Regis, which was supposed to be a B-side to Charlena, but they never did release Charlena as a single.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mid-tempo instrumental from the Hot Rat sessions once again, and it's got a violin solo by Sugar Cane and some guitar solos. It's a very good track.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can find it on that Hot Rats box that they put out a year or two ago. I've got it on my hard drive just because I've had it for years.
Well, you're a professional, for God's sake.
Yeah, just a rare track, but it's a very good instrumental. So, and it would fit great on Hot Rats, or would have been, it's similar to a couple of the other instrumentals on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, Byron, I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to give this just a solid 8, and let us know how you feel on this. Are we right on? Is it an 8? Give us your rating below. We want to hear from you. But next month we are going to be tackling the live Fillmore album, which is kind of controversial, and it's kind of a love-hate record. There it is right there. I'm kind of interested in how that deluxe reissue sounds, but I don't know. May check it out.
Order it?
I might. I don't know. It depends.
What do you have on this one?
Huh?
What do you have of this already? Which version?
I just got. Oh, I'm sorry. I have just the. I have the Ryko CD.
The 2000, but not the 2012. Huh?
No.
Well, we'll discuss those differences there. We'll discuss that.
I know. I've only got the old. I got the Ryko. Again, I pick up what I see.
Right.
If it's a 2012, hey, it's a great. If it's not, hey, it's great.
Yep.
Hey, Zappa approved it. I'm sure it's fine. So, well, anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Yet another rant. All right, Byron, I want to thank you for coming on. We will see everybody next month for the next Zappa episode. And like I said, we'll be taking a look at the live Fillmore. That was what, 71?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, yet another Frank Zappa show for the books. All right, Byron, I want to thank you for coming on. We will see you next week. And please like, subscribe. You know the routine. I'm going to give a plug. Every Wednesday, we've been doing a live chat over on the Contrarians. We'd like to hear from you. We've been discussing album covers. We may switch that up. You never know. But every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But other than that, a lot of great content coming up. And stay tuned for our more Frank Zappa content. All right, everybody. We'll see you.